Can our currency ever be put back on a standard to measure? Sure. I mean, that's totally possible. I think the probability is maybe a better question, Audrey. So it's definitely a possibility. As far as 90% probability, 10% probability, that's kind of where you got to do some digging and some thinking. And do they back it with gold? They back it with Bitcoin? And let's just say that they did back it. What does that mean? Like what would be the knock-on effects? And how would they implement it? And what would be the catalyst to prompt them to do it? And I can't think of a catalyst other than just a complete collapse in global fiat currency to where there was no confidence at all. And that was their last resort. That was their Hail Mary, was just to connect the currency to something just to give people confidence. So then you got to ask yourself, well, what takes us from here to there? And I mean, I can think of a lot of things. One video I'm working on is I usually write the titles for the videos prior to doing them, just FYI. And if you want a YouTube tip, that's a good one. Start with the title and the thumbnail and then do the video. Anyway. The title I've got is IPO Scam Proves Economic Collapse is Inevitable. And so how I'm getting that conclusion is this podcast that my buddy Peter Schiff did. It's really got me thinking. He did a podcast on the IPO market and more specifically DoorDash. And he does a great job of really taking you through a thought process of the venture capitalist business model. Now that the Fed has distorted every single price in our entire economy by distorting the price of money itself, because money is one half of every single transaction. So in doing so and keeping interest rates artificially low for so long, and this implicit Fed put, then what they've done is they've created an environment where venture capitalists are no longer backing companies that would be profitable. They're just backing companies who have the best story. And often the best story is one that actually is not profitable. And so what's their game? Well, they just give them the money they need to take market share and basically sell a $20 bill for $10. And selling $20 bills for $10, you can get market share pretty darn fast. And then what they do is keep pumping more and more and more and more money into it that pension funds give them, because the pension funds can't get a yield anywhere else because of the Fed, because the Fed has pushed people out the risk curve so far, because they've kept the entire yield curve and suppressed it for, say, decades. So the pension funds and all these pools of money don't have a choice. So the VC guys, they don't have a choice. They want to keep their jobs. So they're like, okay, well, our old model doesn't work, where we just try to find companies that are going to produce profit. That's antiquated. No one wants that anymore. That's not a good business model, especially now when we've seen that the government will just come in any small or mid-sized business that is profitable. They don't care. Let's shut them down. And the only ones that they allow to stay open are these huge mega corporations. We talked about that earlier. But again, the bottom line is the venture capitalists pump all this money into these companies who will never turn a profit. Did you know Airbnb has been in existence since 2008 and they have never made money? Well, they might have made a quarter here and there, but they're still losing money. Still, DoorDash is 8 years old and they don't make money. They lose billions of dollars. Like, how is going public going to make you instantly just a cash cow when you've had 8 years and you still burn money. Like it doesn't even make sense, right? So again, my point is all the capital is going into these Ponzi schemes. That's the new business model for venture capitalists. So the only businesses that are being created and therefore funded and then taken to an IPO to where the retail investor is just holding the bag are businesses that are structurally unprofitable. In other words, businesses where left to the free market, they would not exist, or they wouldn't exist very long. That's for sure, before they would go bust, right? And that's Schumpeter's creative destruction that makes the economy healthier, more efficient, and better over the long run. Okay, well, think about this. If what we're doing is subsidizing the businesses that should not be in business, that should be going out of business, and we're forcing the businesses who are profitable to go out of business, where does that take us? When you remember that the economy is, the wealth of the economy is the amount of goods and services that it can produce profitably, right? So we're getting closer and closer and closer to an economy that doesn't produce any goods and services at a profit, right? So how sustainable is that? And that takes me to my point where this latest IPO scam, which DoorDash obviously is, and I'm not saying it won't be profitable long term, I doubt it, but I'm saying the process of VC to IPO is without a doubt a Ponzi scheme scam. This shows us the fragility of our current economy and where we're headed in the future. And if you take it to its logical conclusion, where the amount of goods and services we produce at a profit becomes less and less and less and less, well, to fill that void, to fill that gap, we have to increase money printing, increase stimulus, which makes us even more lazy, which makes fewer and fewer people want to go out and start businesses that create goods and services, especially if we get a lockdown every 3 years. That's how you go to economic collapse. So anyway, I can't recall the question. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent there.